Thank you so very much for being here. Next up, Tom Del. Tom authored The New Conservative Paradigm, is working on his new book called Selling Freedom in America. Tom is the vice chair of the California Republican Party, chairman of FirstAmendmentNow.com, and makes over 300 talk radio appearances and over 100 TV appearances per year. Please welcome Tom Del.
How are ya? Come on, how are ya? Are you tired of Washington? Are you tired of Sacramento? Thanks a lot for coming out today. My name's Tom Del. I live up in the San Francisco Bay Area, so I know how hard it is to be a true believer here in LA. I have some very interesting neighbors. Dianne Feinstein, Barbara Boxer, Jerry Brown, Willie Brown, and my current favorite, Nancy Pelosi. Actually, when I went to speech school, they told me not to have people boo you right away. Maybe I'm doing the wrong thing. I'm here today in my role as chairman of First Amendment Now. Now, all of you here are practicing freedom of assembly. Who can tell me what amendment that's from? First Amendment. Good, you can all stay. I'm in the right crowd. Your freedom of assembly. But there's also an incredibly other important part of that First Amendment, and that is what? Freedom of speech. And that is under attack because, as you know, as people who believe in liberty, that the government doesn't like competition. And the last competition it wants, as it grows and grows and reduces your freedom, relates to information. Barack Obama and his administration, Joe Wilson aside, want you to believe in what they think. And they don't want the distraction, not only of the truth, but of the average citizen, because the average citizen will expose their faults. And under attack is the entire talk radio industry. Whether you know it or not, Barack Obama said to you that he was against the fairness doctrine, right? You remember that? But what he has is FCC regulators that are attempting to backdoor regulate talk radio in very serious fashion. They want to do multiple things, one of which is literally have community boards listen to talk radio hosts and determine whether they're speaking in the public interest. Please raise your hand if you believe in Barack Obama's definition of the public interest. Not a one of you. Another thing they want to do is require diversity of ownership of talk radio stations. Now, everybody wants to be fair and have... Here's what this is designed to do. In no uncertain fashion, it is designed to break up the major radio station chains because those chains can afford to carry Rush, Sean, and the rest. And if you break up those chains through diversity, you will silence those talk radio hosts. That's what that is about. Finally, they have one other initiative, and it's called localism. And they want to require radio stations to have a certain amount of local content. Now, what does that mean? That means the really large radio stations would have to carry a local host on a local topic. Well, the economics of radio stations don't allow that today. This is another backdoor move to destroy talk radio. So let's raise those Save Talk Radio signs if you have them out there. If you haven't signed our petition yet, we are right over here. We want to gather 100,000 signatures and take them to Barbara Feinstein and Dianne Boxer and tell them to keep their hands off our talk radio. Thank you very much.
All right, next up, Rob Johnson from the Central Valley. He does the 840, the Patriot Radio.
Greetings, AstroTurf mobsters. You're a wild bunch here today. I tell you, it's a good thing the hate speech police aren't here today. I have never heard so much hate speech in my life. Hate for big government programs, elitist politicians, activist judges, death panels. You know, we should form our own citizen death panels. What do you think? To oversee the political careers of self-serving politicians. Politicians who won't read the bill before they vote for it. Politicians from special interests and look a voter in the face. Politicians afraid to take the broom away from Nancy Pelosi so she can't fly back home. Politicians job-killing legislation in the name of saving us from ourselves, like cap and trade and AB 32. Anybody familiar with that? AB 32, the Global Warming Solutions Act of 2006, by the way, signed by Governor Schwarzenegger. Its biggest contribution to the nation is going to be to send tax-paying workers and businesses to other states of the Union. Folks, our business climate is in far more danger than our atmospheric climate in the state of California. Let me give you a few statistics here that illustrate that fact. Our business-friendly index in every study ranks at or near the bottom of all the states of the Union. California has the highest net population loss of all states last year. California's pretend unemployment rate is 11.9%. The real rate is probably about 18%. I can give you these statistics all day long, but you want to know where to find the real picture of the state of California? U-Haul. One mover found these numbers. Listen to this. To rent a 26-foot truck one way from San Francisco to Austin, Texas, $3,236. To rent the same truck from Austin to San Francisco, $399. In fact, U-Haul has to pay their own employees to drive the empty trucks back from Texas. And the geniuses in our legislature want to increase regulation on business and increase the cost of doing business by as much as 30% for some businesses, all in the name of fighting global warming. Fight this insanity of global warming. I'm going to give you some hints here. Do it with science. I'm going to give you some science statistics that cannot be argued. You cannot dispute these because these are scientific facts. You might want to write these down and remember them. First up, the N.W.O satellites that measure the Earth's atmospheric temperature show that there has been no significant global warming since 1995, absolutely no warming since 1998. In fact, they've shown global cooling for the past few years. By the way, in that same period, CO2 levels have increased in the atmosphere by 10%. That kind of puts a kink in that belief that CO2 contributes to global warming, doesn't it? Here's another statistic. A fact, new peer-reviewed scientific studies now predict a continued lack of global warming for up to 3 decades due to something scientists call natural climate factors. Here's one more. The measurement of ocean temperatures has long been an inaccurate science until 2003 when something called the Argo system was completed. Since then, Argo's measurements have shown a slight cooling trend in the average temperatures of the ocean around the world. So how do they counter this kind of scientific fact, the other side? I was watching C-SPAN the other day, and Harry Reid brought his factual evidence in. You know what it was? A picture. It was a photograph of a melting glacier in Alaska. It's the best he could do. You know, I was watching N.W.O a few nights ago, and they showed that the polar ice caps have been in a cycle of expansion and contraction for thousands of years. I guess Harry Reid doesn't get cable. Now, let me give you one more fact here. Al Gore released an inconvenient... Thank you very much. I knew that would happen. Al Gore has released an inconvenient truth back in 2006. Since he released that movie, we have seen temperatures of 3/4 of a degree Fahrenheit since 2006. Yet Al Gore continues to travel the globe with a carbon footprint the size of Rosie O'Donnell, preaching that all of us must reduce our carbon footprint to save the world. Surely somebody so righteous as Al Gore would live in a model home of energy efficiency, wouldn't he? With gleaming solar panels covering the roof and windmills outside churning electricity. You know what? His home alone not including his guest house, uses more than 20 times the electricity of the average American home.